Sibong and welcome to the show. My name is Paul Sedu. Recently, Auditor-General Kimi Makwetu gave the Water and Sanitation Department a qualified audit opinion with irregular expenditure amounting to more than 700 million rand. In the 2015-2016 audit, fruitless and wasteful expenditure was 87.2 million rand, with irregular expenditure standing at 2.5 billion rand. Makwetu also warned that the recommended changes have been ignored. For her part, Mokonyane blames municipalities for the department's financial challenges. Municipal debt is standing at 7 billion rand. While the country remains water scarce and is not yet out of persistent drought, the organization Undoing Tax Abuse says it is taking legal action against Water and Sanitation on the Lesotho Highlands Project, that is. We are live, and therefore you can call us and air your views. The numbers to dial is 089-1104-210, and if you're outside the borders, +2789-1104-210. Our Twitter handle at QuestionTime24. Now, my guest, well, we're expecting the Minister of Water and Sanitation, Mokonyane, to join us from studios in Cape Town. But in studio, I have Julius Kleinhans, who is the Portfolio Manager for Water from the organization Undoing Tax Abuse, that is OUTA. So, like I said, the Minister has confirmed that she will be part of the show, and we were only waiting for her to take her seat in our studio, which is remote in Cape Town. So for now, though, let me continue with OUTA. Well, Julius, welcome to the show. Whilst we await the minister to arrive, and by the way, you are not so confident that she will.
No, thank you for having us. There was various former debates that should have taken place. However, she didn't always pitch, and there was always someone else sent. So usually it's a one-sided debate, but I hope she will join us today so that we can get some clarity on various very important issues.
Now, you are taking the department to court over the Lesotho Highlands Water Project. Just give us some details on that.
Now, look, this is a project that has to be initiated a long time ago. It was supposed to actually provide us with water next year already, in 2018. It hasn't really started. So they're talking about maybe in the vicinity of 2026 that we'll get water. You know, currently 98% of water is already allocated in this water scarce country, and we need about 32% more by 2030 for our economic and population acquisitions and demand and supply to be, you know, safe for us to drink and also the economy to grow. And we don't have that.
So you're suing them for what? For lack of water supply?
Well, if you look at the Department of Water and Sanitation, the minister is the custodian of water. That doesn't mean she owns the water. The custodianship means that they need to preserve and supply water.
Yeah.
Okay, and look at the quality as well. That's a different issue. We've been looking at this Lesotho Highlands Water Project for quite some time, and this is one of various projects that has been planned but never been executed. And at the end of the day, this is something that you have to be proactive on, because if we don't have water, yes, the department is to blame.
And I mean, the department, it's not like it's doing a very great job. I mean, even the Auditor General is complaining.
Absolutely. There's various issues, if I can take you through a couple of them.
Sure, let's do that.
If you look at all the wastewater treatment facilities in the country, you know, sewage waste is hazardous, toxic waste. It's a criminal offense to pollute water. But 71% of our wastewater treatment facilities don't comply to legislation or their licenses, polluting water with raw sewage. I'm sure people have seen and smelt it all over Joburg and in the country as a whole. That is about 4 billion liters of toxic water that's being chucked in our rivers every day. Now, we don't have water. We have been through a drought recently, which means the concentration of pollutants get more, and we don't have the facilities to really clean that water up to standard. Another interesting thing, if you have a bottle of water that you buy, on that day it says what the quality of water is, and they have to comply to that. I mean, you can take any company to court easily and sue them for that. But we don't see our blue drop reports being displayed to the public, so the public doesn't know what the water quality is about. You know, if you open a tap, and I'm sure you don't have to raise your hand now, but I'm sure recently in the last year, the color of the water, the smell, the taste, wasn't up to standard. I mean, if there's about 73% of people in South Africa who don't believe that their water is up to standard at all times. And if you look at the quality of drinking water, 71% of it doesn't comply to drinking water standards on chemical compliance, 20% microbiological compliances.
That's quite scientific. Let's take Tulani. Tulani, welcome to the show.
Hello, Mpo, how are you?
I'm well. Thanks for the call, Tulani.
Yes, the man right with you there is telling the truth. The quality of water is very poor.
I'm battling to hear you, Tulani. I don't know.
Yeah, the man sitting with you there is telling the truth. The quality of water we are drinking is poor.
Okay.
Yeah, so the person who should be blamed now is the minister. Even if he's doing the right things good, you know, it won't look like good because of the, let me simply say, his president is corrupt as well. So you don't know where the money goes to. You understand? So eventually all the fingers will point at her because you, even in the parliament, they don't answer in the proper manner to satisfy the public.
Okay. Yeah. Tulani, thanks very much. Well, Tulani agrees with you, but he takes it a step further to say, well, the president himself is corrupt, and therefore, how do you expect the minister not to be? But, I mean, we're talking billions of rands here. What is going to happen?
Yeah, it's a big issue, you know. The municipalities are to blame. Come on, you're the regulator of water. You must enforce legislation. Hold them accountable. The lack of the issues in this country, or the root cause of the problems, is the lack of accountability, and that's where the organization on doing tax abuse comes in. We want to reintroduce accountability. Unfortunately, the only way to do it is via the law. But the minister has, she's on top of the world regarding legislation on water, you know, so she can enforce it. And I must add, you know, yes, it's sad because water is such an important thing. Water is life. The minister says it every time. And sanitation is dignity. However, she publicly states that she'll sacrifice her butt for President Zuma. Why can't she do that for South Africans and water supply in the country?
Okay, let's take Sheila. Sheila, you are in Natal Spruit. Welcome.
Hello, Mpo.
Hi.
How are you, Mpo?
I'm well. How are you, Sheila?
I'm fine.
Yeah.
Mpo mani, wasiba ke batla ho commenta ka taba e libuang mone. Yeah, wasiba ha ke sheba ne kuri government wa rona. O retsetsa fatshe man. Especially nomvula Mokonyane ne ha o ka msheba mo ditabeng tsa president hore o qhoma hakakang. Wa bontsha hore batho ba really ha bana taba le batho. Hore ba ishebile bona dipogotho tsa bona. Hona ke ha o re o bua ka president hore president o tshwantse hore aswe. Ha ba batle because they know hore ba protect the position tsa bona. And those positions tsa bona ha ba yetse next sheba fela hore re safa jwang. Whatever government ya apartheid di kontiri ba ne ba di aha di santsane di teng di ka sheko but rona di trata tse etswang ke government wa rona 1 2 3 di trata ha o tla pula di tsamaile because nna ha ke thola tender o tshwanetse re ke nze 25% and then to buang ke le go wa leola metsi it's true because rona batho ba we don't know nothing about metsi hore metsi a jwang but ha o ana wa utlwa hore metsi a ha sa taste the way ana le ka teng so but really samaneti nna ke kopa hore ha ba ke ba re shebelle batho ba ska ja bona ba bang bona ba tseba hore ba tsa ma ba ile re ka metsi a di 5 liter a di jwang rona he.
Okay, Sheila, I think Serena le bothata ka line ya hao ha isa hlakahlakile ho tshwana le ha no qala ho bua empa ha re lebohile maikutlo a hao. Sheila, they're calling us from Natal Spruit or Katlehong rather, expressing her feelings as well that, you know what, this government is not taking good care of us and all that. But I think one of the things, and I've just learned from our producer or my director here that the minister won't make it. So, yeah, well, we had invited her, she had confirmed, and they're saying she is delayed. So she's so delayed that she won't even make it to the show. So please, pardon her, you know. Nobody is coming from the department, not even Sputnik. Not even Sputnik Ratau is coming today. So we don't have the department. So before you start attacking me, why do I have a one-sided show? Indeed, we had invited the minister. She had confirmed she was coming, but she's running late. 089-110-4210 is the number to dial. Our Twitter handle at QuestionTime24. And when we return, we'll continue with this discussion. Please do give us a call, 089-110-4210. Let us hear your views on this matter. What do you think of the state of the Department of Water and Sanitation and all these legal woes that are facing them? We shall return.
If you ask this wine connoisseur how best to show appreciation for a good wine, he might say something like this. Okay, if you ask us how best to show appreciation, we'll probably tell you to just say thank you.
Get any 2 750ml bottles from the Saints range for 50 Rand from Tops at Spar.
Welcome back. You're still watching Question Time, and my guest is no longer the Minister of Water and Sanitation, Mokonyane. She can't make it. Julius Kleinhans is the Portfolio Manager for Water from Outer, and we've just learned that the Minister sent another spokesperson or a representative from the department. So probably shortly we should be joined by somebody from the department. Tammy, you are in Delmas.
Yes, sir.
Welcome.
Papa, I would like to say our government doesn't take people serious. That's the problem. They are having a lot of corruption.
Yeah.
There's some amount of money someone before, and then of which
yeah.
So that's the problem in South Africa, and I don't see this country going
Dr. Tam, thank you very much for your call. All right. So we're now joined by Mlimandlela and Amase, who's speaking on behalf of the Department of Water and Sanitation. Lee, thanks very much for joining us. Well, we're expecting the minister. We understand she's running late, but we appreciate you coming. Talk to us about the Auditor-General's report.
Very much, Mpo, and just an apology. The minister is still engaged in the portfolio committee where we were presenting the annual report. But just quickly on the AG's report, you will have noted that one of the key things that has given us a qualified audit opinion, particularly for the 15-16 financial year, is an irregular expenditure that relates to a number, well, not a number, but in bulk, to the Giyani project in Limpopo.
Yes.
Now, that particular project comes about on the basis of a court order that instructed the National Department of Water and Sanitation to intervene in Giyani so that we can be able to supply the people of that particular area with water services. Now, what had happened in Giyani is that the water services had collapsed, the hospitals had been compromised, schools were not able to access water, and the municipality, whose responsibility constitutionally and legally it is to supply those services, had not managed to provide the services, and hence the department had to go in and intervene. But I think importantly to mention and to clarify is that when the Auditor General says that particular spend has been irregular, it does not say that the work has not been done. So as we speak, 55 villages in Giyani have access to water. The hospital that was initially compromised with patients dying based on the lack of water is now currently connected. 13 villages in Kiani are receiving water supply, although that supply currently is still erratic and we're dealing with those problems. So there has been value for money in terms of the investment made in Kiani. However, our only difference with the AG has been on the basis of how the appointments were done and the issue of the definition of an emergency in as far as that particular project is concerned.
Okay, let's go to Bronkhorstspruit. Primrose, welcome.
Hello, Mpo, how are you?
I'm well, thanks for the call.
Thank you, Mpo.
Yes.
We are just disappointed the minister is not available.
Yeah.
Ne re mo lebeletse ka mahlantshotho re re tla ba gona gobane diputšišo ke tše dintši Mpo. O ka re government ya rena a ena taba le the poor of the poorest.
Yeah.
Ko ka ya ko dipolaseng gona banong ba ba tlisetsa metsi ke metsi a ditšhila, sometimes ba fetsa weekend ba sena metsi. For me, this government is still belonging to the richer. Let the richer be the richest. As our minister previously talked, or when he gave us the speech, that's very heavy for us. That's so sad for the minister to talk like that, especially a woman.
Yes.
But really, I think positionally, it's not suitable for her to be there.
Well, I think Mli will pass the message. Well, Mli, that's a message from Bronkhorstspruit. But out of all the things that you have said, that there's water in these villages around Giani and Malamlele, I guess, and all that, maybe if I were to say to you I was at Kampambo over the weekend, but there's still no water, I may be asking an unfair question. But I want to let Outer just talk to you because they hold a different view from your explanations. Julius?
Yeah, look, I think, well done. If they've got water, it took 3 years. It took 5.2 billion rand, I think, to give the people water from a project that was supposed to cost about 250 million. And that is the excess we're looking at. At the end of the day, it is to supply water. You know, it's a constitutional obligation. Everyone has the right to sufficient water. Sufficient water means supply, access, and quality. Now, the three things need to be monitored, managed, and enforced if it doesn't happen. The custodian and the regulator for water is not doing their job. I think the department's completely failing in that. And I think with the Auditor-General, we've mentioned now the irregular expenditure. But why wait for an emergency situation to occur so that you don't have to go through the proper procurement processes and then appoint people who can't do the job correctly and lose billions of rands? Is that where the money is being looted in South Africa? Is that a different space of the Gupta scenario we're talking about?
Okay. Zion Ekongwe.
Hello, Mpo.
Welcome.
Thank you, Mpo. Mpo, this government is overcharging us with toxic water. 1 December morning, I woke up at about 5 in the morning for a run.
Yes.
And before I took that run, I boiled myself water to make a cup of rooibos tea. After drinking that tea, my stomach went rumbling, and I couldn't go for a run.
Yes.
During the course of the morning, I discovered that a child who was coming on from Port Elizabeth on holiday to his aunt next door, who's a teacher, is also sick with water, and the other child across the opposite us, same street, and an old lady. 4 people were sick with that water that same morning, and I heard from other areas of the location, and when the resident association went at the clinic to check records, they discovered evidence that during that day there were a high number, unlikely like other times, a high number of people with stomach problems. I called the print media and the radio. They put the story on the paper, interviewed the people with the radio. We had a meeting in the hall. We called the officials of the water purification, and they were adamant that the water is safe and all that, but yet people were sick. Now, as I'm speaking to you on the overcharging thing, I'm sitting, they have overcharged me with 660 liters of water, 660 kiloliters of water for the past 6 months. I've lodged the claim to the dispute with them. They are working on it. You see, we're being overcharged for drinking toxic, poisonous water in this country.
Zion calling us from Ekong there. Well, I guess the quality of water is one of the issues which even Outer raised. Your response?
I think the first question we must respond to, Mpo, is what Outer raised about what we are saying around Giyani.
Yes.
The first point, and something that Outer does not tell you, is that in this country you still have what you call single-purpose dams, where you would have people sitting in Chozini currently not having access to water because the water has been reserved for certain farming operations and certain persons in that particular area. Now, we are dealing with a country that has a huge backlog. There has been significant progress in providing our people access to water, and when we do that, we will make sure that we provide our people access to quality water. One thing we must clarify, Mpo, is that in terms of the law in this country, it is municipalities that have the responsibility of ensuring that you do gain access to water via your tap. We as the department are responsible for the bulk supply, but one of the things we have come to appreciate is that we've got a serious challenge in as far as capacity is concerned in our municipalities, and it is one of the reasons why the minister has actually championed an amendment of the current legislation so that we can be able to directly intervene in support of municipalities so that we can deal with the challenges that are being raised, specifically challenges around the quality of water, how we are managing our wastewater treatment works, because as things stand, when we do intervene, like we did in Giyani, as I was explaining earlier on, we intervene as the national government in a space where legally we should not necessarily be intervening. But when people are dying, when people do not have access to water, we cannot sit back, but we must go in and intervene. And unfortunately, when we have done that work, the AG will say it's irregular expenditure. However, what makes us happy is that people will have gained access to water and they will be satisfied in terms of their constitutional rights.
But people are getting access to water at a very high price. I mean, most of your projects, the budget is initially 90 million, but it ends up, I mean, there's one project which is, it was budgeted for 124 million, but it's already running at 900.
You know as well as I do, Mpo, that some of the areas that we're talking about are very far-flung, they are very vast. They are not similar to Soweto or Houghton or Bryanston, where there are stands next to one another and it is easy to connect pipes. We have to, one, build the bulk regional infrastructure in these areas. Two, we need to connect the areas via pipes. Three, you must know that if you are going to deliver on sanitation services for our people, it then means that you must also deliver on a wastewater treatment work so that you can be able to clean whatever they flush down those particular toilets. So there's a value chain to water that we must appreciate and how it operates.
Mli, are you saying to me that the department budgets 124 million for a project without proper recognizance and understanding what is going to be required there, and you only realize it along the way that, oh, actually we don't need 124, we need 900 million?
No, that's not what I'm saying to you, Mpo. All I'm saying to you, I'm merely explaining the water value chain. That part and parcel of the work that we do, we then have to end up intervening in a space that, one, is not ours, but two, we can't sit with a situation where we have built a dam and people can see that there's water and the dam is full, yet they do not have access to water.
But how do you explain, Mli, how do you explain budgeting 124 million rand for a project, but the project is incomplete and it's already at 960 million?
Well, I'm not sure which project you're referring to, Mpo, because that on its own would not be proper. One, when we do our planning, and this is one of the issues that the minister has raised, is that one of the capacities that we need to resolve in the department is our planning and project management capacity, so that we can be able specifically to deal with those type of situations, because it can't be the norm that when we decide on a project, it is budgeted, it is signed off, and that when we start implementing, obviously there would be certain occasions where you would start implementing a project, you would confront hard rock in some areas, which would then require that you bring in specialist equipment and specialist services to be able to continue with the work. However, I again say it is not the norm. It is not how the department functions. And we must be able to isolate those specific projects from the broader projects that we currently deal with as a department. You know, as a department, we deal with very large
we have run out of time. Unfortunately, I would have to cut you there. And Julius, unfortunately, time is no longer on our side. You know, this thing of planning for one guest and then the other one comes does disorganize us a bit. But we hope we were able to do justice, even if it's at a very smaller scale. That was question time for today. A big thank you to my guests and to you for watching the show. From me and the crew, you have yourself a wonderful time. I've a